Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly timeframes. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. Go to our website, StockBookie.com, sign up for a free membership for more videos like this, emails to our live streaming sessions, email alerts, trade ideas, education, and some more stuff that's coming up in the near future. All right, well, let's get right into the daily SPY. And today, look on the 10-minute, we filled the gap at the 20 or 236.50 area, and that's what we held at the end of the day. So, another 77 million on the day. Volume came in towards the last 30 minutes of the session, but again, light volume, nothing crazy, nothing wrong, other than if you look at the daily, we are back into that gap fill. We are back below this trend line, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But again, above the moving averages, still okay, but slowly grinding down. So just be careful. If you're long, just tighten those stops and just be awake in these markets. You don't want to wake up and this thing starts gapping down. Next thing you know, we're at 220 in 3 days. So just be careful at this point. But again, we just filled the gap. We stayed above it, so nothing really wrong. Weekly chart, we will wait for the week for the close to go over that stuff. But right now, nothing crazy, just chopping around. But like I said, we'll wait for Friday. We'll do a little bit more of that on that video. Again, IWM daily chart. We've been talking about this 140. So we had a nice bullish pattern here. It finally got above the MAs, broke above this channel. We've been channeling, it was up and down. Then it kind of flatlined here and then started going up. Went right to the 140 area and this trend line, pulled back again, and now it's pulling back. We're back below the moving averages now. So this one's looking a little bit weak. There's still a gap fill here and the low pivots as well, down in the 133 area, but then ultimately you have a gap fill down here around 130 and then the low pivot around 130 even number. You still have this trend line, not the best, not the worst, but it'll be a little bit of support as this thing comes in if it does. But again, IWM looking weak, and remember, you want this thing leading, not lagging. Again, we're starting to lag, and it never really led at all. A little bit, everyone was getting excited when it was getting up here, but it pulled back, and now we're back below the MAs. If you're bullish, you need to get back above and then shoot for the 140, then continue higher. If you're bearish, you got to continue down, confirm below the 50 MA, then I think we could get more downside on, possibly to the 200 moving average around 125. And if that cracks, possibly lower. But one step at a time, we'll see if it could get through this area, set up in a, maybe it retraces one more time and then flushes, or is this the last time before it starts heading down? Let's look at the Qs. We had a live session today, guys. It's been great. We've been doing them in the last week or so. Again, sign up. You'll get that email 15, 20 minutes before we go live. We're looking to do some stuff in the afternoon or later, probably my time around 7 o'clock, so New York time around 9 o'clock. We're trying to find out good balance here during the day and then a couple at night during the week too. We want to get everybody involved, looking at charts, trying to find trades and trying to make money in these markets. So, all right, so the Qs, again, nothing wrong. Let me pull this fib off here. Chopping around above the MAs, nothing wrong, a little bit bullish. God, the Qs just can't go down. Remember back here when the Qs were just freaking falling apart? Like this right here was just like week and a half of like, holy cow, but caught the bottom, retrace, caught the bottom, retrace, caught the bottom, boom, a little bit of retrace, and then up, and away. So, gosh, this was some great action here. If you're a trader and you're just trying to catch short-term moves, this market's been pretty good other than the last, probably about month and a half, 2 months. It's been still pretty good, but we've been just floating up on a lot of these stocks. So daily chart on the Qs, still okay, still above the MAs, a couple little tails, so you got a little bit of selling coming in here. But again, nothing wrong. Light volume still prevails in the last 4 days, so just expect us to float. If you're bullish, you need to go after that 130, 168 and go higher, possibly to, the 132, then 33, then the 135, the round number up in that area. If that doesn't happen, then look for it to fill this gap, get below the 20, and then we'll have to see how the markets are doing in the SPY and the overall indexes. DIA. DIA, same thing. It was down almost 100, I think, at one point today. It was starting to go. It did not fill this gap down here around the 208. It's still holding. It didn't get to the highs either here. So it's still not bad. I still like the, the nice fade here, but it doesn't tell, it could be just a just a short-term pullback like one of these guys, or when it went up and it pulled back, went up, pulled back, does this thing just sit up here now for the next couple months? Possibly. Got to fill the gap and see what happens. If you're bullish, you need to get back above the all-time high to 1159 and continue up. If you're bearish, you need to get back below this gap fill, get below the 20 MA, and then fill the gap here, and then we'll see how it sets up sideways, or does it just fall into the 50 MA or what have you. Still really no patterns on any of these charts. It's really just starting to, a nice little fade off the high, off that pop-up. And then boom, after Trump's speech, they popped it up, get everybody on board about his tone was the right tone. And then we pull back and then almost fills the gas. So again, keep an eye on all these four indexes. These are very important. The SPY is pretty much number one, then the IWM, of course the Q. They're all pretty important. The DIA, it's okay. IYT. IYT again, every time it attacked the high, attacked the high, attacked the high, boom, came right back down, kind of like the IWM. Again, this has to be the leader, like the IWM. If this thing starts to lag and starts to fall, the markets will start to turn over and still go down. So keep an eye on these guys. Your line in the sand is this guy here. We did close right on top of the 50 MA. It's a little bit above it, so we haven't closed below the 50 MA. It hasn't touched it in 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. This thing could actually bounce and go back for the all-time highs. If this slips and comes back into here, we're most likely going to set up for more downside. So be careful with this one. Again, we are above the MAs, the 50 and the 200, still in a pretty strong stance. We're above here. We've been floating around, slightly bullish pattern. It could go up, but again, if it doesn't get back above the 20 and start heading up here, we're most likely going to start squeezing it down and taking some longs out of play. So let's go to the USO. USO, guys, bloodbath. Oh my gosh, I've been talking about this bearish pattern, bearish pattern. Every time it gets above, it's like, all right, it's a little bit strong, it's below, And look, they retrace it back up into this area, and then boom, the flush. Guys, this thing blasted through the 200, the gap fill, all the way down to gap window here, and then it closed right on top of it. So, could it bounce? Yes. Could it go down one more time to gap fill around the 1044 area? Definitely. But at this point, you get a big red bar like this, you'd expect a little more downside or set up, maybe retrace one more and then the next leg down. Tomorrow's a new day. We'll find out where this thing's going. But wow, oh man, it just took this thing down. I mean, like, I keep saying down sideways. It's still bullish, because if you look at all, the overall, you went up, now you're sideways, chopping around in a channel. But when it pulled back and went this way, you're a little more bearish, and that's what's starting to play out. You get a bearish pattern on a daily that's been going for 2 months, 2.5 months, this thing's going to go down. And when it does, and if the markets pull down, this thing's going to fill this gap right here around 10 bucks. So just be careful with this one. Weekly chart, I'll show you another thing that we were looking at as well. Same thing. So this one moves up on the weekly chart, so we're following it. As long as it stays above the MAs, we're saying, okay, it's still in a strong stance, but pulled back, slightly bearish now, still bullish, but slightly macro bear. Boom, we come down. We're back right into this trend line. This is big support here, but coming off of a real bearish pattern here, it could fall down. Well, of course, tomorrow we'll see what happens and see if this thing can possibly bounce. If it does not, then you're probably heading right here to the 1040, 1050 area, and then next area is 1018, then boom, and I'm still thinking around 10 bucks. And it could come pretty quick. If it does really pull back, we'll be looking for areas to possibly buy for short-term bounces. So again, I don't care, long or short, just want to be on the right side of the trade. And right now we are short the USO. UUP still going up. It was 9 cents on the day. Nothing crazy, but nothing wrong with this one. As it did pull back a little bit, people were like, "Oh, well, is it over for the dollar?" It did make a heck of a run. You have to admit it. From 24 to almost 27, pulls back. And these were slight pullbacks, and then you get the bigger one. Never filled the gap, straight back up. Let's see if we could get back above the 618 and then shoot for the 750 and this pivot here right around 2662 or so. What is it? 61, 62. Yeah, 2660. If we go there, gap to fill around 2670, then ultimately the old double top here around 2683. Still think this one can go higher, 2721 or 28 and then 28.93. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Right now we barely closed right on top of the 618, so we'll see what happens tomorrow as it gives us the next piece of the puzzle. The GLD still coming down, guys, but be patient. I mean, we are back below the 50 MA. I told you guys as long as we stay above the 20 and the 50, we're okay. It's getting below the 50 now, so it's getting a little bit on the weaker side. But we did fill the gap here today. I want to see this thing come in a little bit more to see what we're going to do. I'm still into money on this trade, so I am fine. But if people are trying to find a level for the gold to go in, it could be this pivot right here around 12 bucks. You have some gaps to fill down in here, but right now we're still holding this 50 MA right in that area. If you go to the weekly, I'm going to go to the bigger time frames on this just to show you a little bit more because a lot of people were asking me on this. You're still at the 20 MA on the weekly, which is holding this thing up. See how the red is and the yellow is? I don't know how. Probably about 20 cents. Yeah, no, probably about 20, 30 cents that we're over it. So, we did have great resistance, knew we were going to pull back. I didn't want to get cute and try to, play a couple dollar move and do it again. I mean, we could have done it, but I just didn't want to miss. All of a sudden it gaps up and starts to run and we're not in it. So I'd rather hold in it and let this thing play out to the downside and hopefully more upside. But again, we're in right around 110.27, 110.50 right in there. So we're still okay on this trade, but yeah, we got a nice $5 pullback. So if you're looking to go long, let it go down a little bit more if it can. But again, we're waiting for that 20 MA on the weekly close to see what happens. If you look at the monthly chart, same thing. We're right into the 20 MA. We're a little bit below it, but it's a monthly, so you get a little bit of a push through. But then I still think we're okay. I still think we're going up a little higher to at least the 125 area. If gold starts really going, I think we're going to go to 131, 132. So far so good with this one. So hold tight. This trend line's curling up, so that's going to be good support. It's already at 109.51. But if we click over a little bit more, next thing you know, we'll be at 110, 112, 113, and then hopefully that will push it up if it doesn't go up already. But yeah, that one's been a tricky one. But if you were adding when we were, as this thing was going down, you'd be in good shape right now. So don't chase it. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see where tomorrow closes. We get a little bit of fear in these markets. This might pop up a little bit, but let's see if we can recapture the moving average and then go from there. If you're bearish on the GLD, then you're looking for this area or some gaps down here around the 110.92, and then ultimately you have a trend line around 109. So, but one step at a time, like I've been saying. So, all right, guys, we had a great live session today. We took the IBB short. I just want to show a couple things. Sign up for my website, guys. We've been having a lot of good stuff coming on, finding a lot of good trades. But we took this one here on the 10-minute chart. And right when it hit the 200 MA here, had a gap fill, even number, nice pullback, nice retrace, boom. We pulled the last half off right down in this area. We took a trade at 299.73, and then we covered half at 298.10. We covered the last half at 296.76. So it was a great trade. If you took a couple hundred shares, you made some pretty good coin there. So go to my website, sign up for that. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on StockTwits. But eventually everything will be on my website, and we'll get a good group of people together, a good group of traders, and we'll bang out some money and make some good trades. So. All right, guys, that's it for today. Again, I did a live session. Look for one tomorrow. Usually I'm doing it around noon on Eastern time. Trying to get a little bit early, but I have a couple things I have to take care of in the morning. So I'm going to try to come on at noon, possibly 1 o'clock, and we'll do it for a couple hours, and we'll go from there. Remember, bring some symbols, some high flyers, look for some setups, maybe head and shoulders, wedges, bear wedges, bull wedges. I don't care. Long or short, guys, I just want to find the next good trade. So StockBookie.com. Go there, sign up for the free membership. All right, again, thanks everybody for following me. I really do appreciate it. It's been awesome. It's been fun trying to find the next trade and try to make some money. So, all right, guys, have a great evening. God bless. See you on the charts.